Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are in an exclusive interview with a missionary, an SVD missionary. And this afternoon, or this day, the one who will share his life as a missionary is no other than the Executive Director of Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation Integrated Development Center, Father Romeo Q. Cagatin, SVD. So, may hapon, Father,
May
and welcome.
hapon, Ma'am Bren.
So actually, we don't know what time this will be shown, but at least we give our greetings to our audience, and this is going to be part of the week-long celebration of the SVDs who are celebrating their 145th founding anniversary. Am I correct, Father?
Yes, that's correct.
And inspired by the Mother Mary, the anniversary of the SVDs fall during the birthday of the Blessed Virgin Mary on the 8th of September. So it's going to be a multiple celebration for the congregation and the society as they celebrate their 145th anniversary and the birthday of the Blessed Virgin Mary. So our interview this afternoon will be about the life of a missionary, that is the life of Father Romeo Cagatin. So maybe, Father, you can introduce yourself for the benefit of our audience, where you come from, where you grew up, and maybe a little background about your family, Father.
Okay, so my complete name or full name is Father Romeo Quijada Cagatin, and I live in a barangay, small barangay called Angas in the municipality of Santa Josefa in the province of Agusan del Sur in the
Mm-hmm.
island of Mindanao.
Okay.
And my parents, they are farmers.
Mm-hmm. Father, that's interesting. I've been to Agusan once in my life because of a response from the university during Bagyong Pablo. Where is Santa Josefa, Father? If our reference point is Trento, where your district house is located.
Well, Santa Josefa, I don't know if it's north or north or south of Trento.
But how far is it
But it's
from
about
Trento,
12
Father?
kilometers from Trento going to Veruela. No? So it's more
Okay,
or less in the
okay.
middle between Trento and Veruela.
You are from Agusan, Father. How did you come to know about the SVDs, Father, as a congregation?
Well, it was the only congregation I knew when I was a child. Uh, well, I remember there were some MEC fathers, Secret Heart fathers,
Mm-hmm.
and one was a Dutchman that I knew because he was staying in my grandfather's house because
Mm-hmm.
he only comes to the town once a year for
Okay.
fiesta, no? Because we didn't have a parish priest before 1975. So the first missionary that I came to know was Father Max Abalos.
Wow.
And
A
then
former official of the
the first
university.
parish priest
Mm-hmm.
in our town was Father Pio Eugenio
Yeah,
in
I know
19
him.
so in
Yes.
1975. So he was
Okay.
my our first parish priest. So he was the only the SVD was the only congregation I knew when I was growing up. You know, when I was in high school, I mean the idea of a priest was very far from my mind because
Okay.
I wanted to enter the Philippine Military Academy, but you know I'm short, so I was disqualified.
They will never know, Father, until they meet you in person.
And
Okay.
then my father wanted me to become an engineer, agricultural
Mm-hmm.
engineer, because since he's a farmer, so he wanted me to
Mm-hmm.
become an agricultural engineer. And then one day, the parish priest, Father Pio, he said, "Why would you not try to become an SVD? Just try."
Okay. And
And
when was
then he
this,
said,
Father?
okay, when is the exam? And I said, okay, the exam is there. So I took my exam here in Cebu. I came to Cebu.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the admission grade something was 60 because we had still in CEE that time, no?
Yes.
I think the required average grade was 65. So I think I had 67 in CEE. So
Okay, great. With 67.
and then when when I was taking the NCE, I was not reviewing because I was playing. I was part of the softball baseball team of Santa Josefa. I was playing,
Okay.
and so when I took the NCE, I said, Lord, when I pass this exam, I will enter the seminary. So that's how it is.
That was your deal with God.
That's how it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was. I was joking, but God, I think, God has many ways of calling people.
Okay. So you kept your promise to God that you will be entering the seminary once you pass
Yeah,
the NCE.
more or less like that.
Father, may I ask, when was this? What is the year when you started getting involved in your SVD life? When you started getting the exam, taking the exam, coming to Cebu and all?
It was in 1978.
1978.
Just after, right, well, before graduation, high school graduation. Uh, the parish priest Father Pio was already encouraging me with another boy, classmate also, Father Julius Plaza,
Okay.
who was a missionary to Colombia.
Oh,
Uh,
did you graduate the
he,
same year, Father?
we were then we were classmates from grade one up to ordination. No?
Wow. So from
Yeah,
Santa Josefa.
yeah, from Santa Josefa. So
Wow.
we are the first SVDs, in fact, from Agusan del Sur.
That's a nice story to tell. Because in the university, Father, it's usually that the SVDs are from the Republic of Bohol. So there is
Well, my
also a
father is from
Republic of
Bohol,
Agusan. Ah, your father is from Bohol.
from Lantang, Valencia, Bohol.
So there is still the connection. So it's
There
true.
is still a connection. But my mother is from Santa Josefa, Nagusanon.
So this is something that we have to know, being Carolinians ourselves, that's not only the Republic of Bohol, but also the Republic of Agusan.
Yes,
Okay, so
exactly.
so the time, Father, that you said, okay, because I passed NCEE, I got 67 instead of above 65, and then you kept your promise to God that you will be entering the seminary. How was it, Father? What was the experience when you said, okay, I'll get into the seminary?
Yeah, well, I come from a national high school, and you know what it means to be in a public school, national high school. So my big challenge was because I had first year, second year, college year in the University of San Carlos, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the standard here in San Carlos. I was struggling, I was an honor student. I was an honor student in my high school. And
Yes.
then here I was struggling. I had three W in what in trigonometry. What was that? I don't know. Chemistry, biology. Because I never saw a microscope before.
Way back in high school.
Way back in high school, it was only here in San Carlos.
A good thing you have seen a microscope in your life.
That
That's
was
interesting.
my first time to see a microscope in University of San Carlos.
Na,
But I was struggling first year, and then but the second year I was able to adapt already, and then I think everything went fine.
okay. Were there, when you were already in the seminary, Father, had there been challenges that you consider made so much of who you are today as a missionary?
Well, I think I believe the big question always is, am I in the right place? Why? I think that's the question. Why
Yes.
me? Why
Mm-hmm.
me? It's always. because if I compare myself to others, I am not the holiest person in fact, I remember in high school, first year high school, we were suspended. We were suspended from school for 1 week because we stole some uh, guavas
So
and
from your
kaimito in our school
okay,
together with the son of the mayor.
okay, Father. So you have the son of the mayor as backup.
And he also became an SVD, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
An ordained priest, Father. I saw.
yeah.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, so that question, Father, that you constantly ask yourself, why you're in the seminary, is that the right place for you? Are you in the right place at the right time? Until when was that ringing a bell on you?
Well, I think it was until until I was ordained because there was also a time when because it was martial law time, eh?
Yes, Father. Yeah. Oh.
And then in our place in Angas, people usually live in their farms, no, where the farm
Mm-hmm.
is, you have your house there. And then the military introduced hamleting, remember, and we were a
Mm-hmm.
victim of that. So in fact, one day I asked the prefect that I am thinking of leaving, no,
Mm-hmm. Going back home.
but not to become an NPA.
You made it
But
clear.
I was just say, well, if you leave, what will you do? And,
Okay.
so in fact, so that's part of the struggle, the process. I
Mm-hmm.
think I was able to get over it.
Okay. Was there that element, Father, that leaving your family behind because you are into priesthood? Of course, considering the social, political, and the security conditions of the time, but was there also that struggle, personal struggle, in terms of holding back on your family and then pursuing what you thought was your calling, and that is priesthood?
Yeah, it was always there because my father wanted me to become an engineer,
Mm-hmm.
well, to help also the family, you know?
Yes.
And then so if I am a priest, how can I help my family also? So it was also there as a struggle, but as Jesus said, when you choose him over, well, uh, the allurements of the world, then you will receive 100-fold, something like that.
Okay, and I think you are enjoying that now.
Yeah, yeah,
God is proving you right with His promise.
I completely believe that. Yes.
Okay, that's very nice, Father. It gives us inspiration about how ordinary individuals get to understand personal struggles and really hold on to their faith to continue living life with full of faith. Now, Father, people are asking, how long was your formation, and when did you profess your vows?
Well, in the SVD, usually our formation is about 10 years, no? Because
Ten
we have
years.
4 years of uh, philosophy, and then
Mm-hmm.
we have novitiate.
Mm-hmm.
During my time, it was 2 years, but in the second year, I was already continuing my studies in philosophy. And then you have 4 years of theology, and then 1 year of regency. So all in all, that's about 10 years.
10 years. And
10 years.
on the end of that journey, Father, you get to have your final vows and your
Then
ordination.
I had my final vows. I cannot remember the date anymore, but it was in May. It was in May 1987.
1987. So that's after EDSA. So
Yes, just right
your time of
after.
formation, Father, is highly political. No, the
Yeah,
conditions
yeah,
in
yeah,
front is
yeah.
highly political. What do
Right,
you remember
right.
about your ordination day, Father?
And so my ordination was on December 12, 1987. I was ordained. Our class was the first to be ordained outside of Tagaytay, of Divine Word Seminary Tagaytay City.
Okay,
Uh,
what was your
so
ordination day, Father?
I was ordained in Trento, Agusan del Sur.
Oh, so
Yeah, it was a good experience. And you would realize your unworthiness.
mm,
And then but in spite of that, God has. You just have to believe that God has chosen you to
mm-hmm.
be His instrument in the world today.
After you were ordained, Father, commonly from the stories of other SVDs, we hear that they are deployed to mission. May we know, Father, what was your first mission
My
after
first
after ordination?
mission, yeah, my first mission assignment was in Benin. Uh, it's a small French-speaking country in West Africa.
Okay,
So, but
okay.
before I went there, I had to study French in
Mm-hmm.
Belgium. I had 1 year of French in
Mm-hmm.
Belgium. So after graduation 1988 March, I graduated March 1988. Then there was this vacation, and then in
Mm-hmm.
June 1988, I was sent already to
Oh,
Belgium.
okay.
But before I went to Belgium, of course, I was in Rome to get my visa for Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
So so I
So,
stayed there
mm,
in Belgium to study French from September 1988 to October 1989.
mm-hmm.
And then October 1, I was already in Benin for my first mission assignment.
Okay. Was the French schooling, Father, of a year in Belgium a requirement for you before you were deployed to Benin, Father? Was it a
Yes,
prerequisite for you?
that's part of the preparation, because it is expected that when you arrive there, you have already the language to be able to speak, to communicate
Okay. Mm-hmm.
with the people.
So, Father, had did you have an idea before you went into SVD congregation that you were making yourself a missionary? That eventually you will be sent out of the country or anywhere else in the Philippines to do mission? Was it something conscious on your end, Father, that I will be a missionary, or you just thought I will be a priest?
Well, if you enter the Society of the Divine Word, it's understood that you have to be a missionary. It's
Mm-hmm.
that one right from the start. I knew
Mm-hmm.
what a diocesan priest. So the diocesan priest will just be in the diocese, and then a missionary is willing to go outside
Mm-hmm.
of the country. You can leave your parents,
Mm-hmm.
country, and go to a foreign land that you don't know. No? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that was part of the preparation that we go through in our 10 years of
Okay.
formation. So
So you were really built. SVDs are really built for mission. Just for
SVD is a missionary congregation. It's a
oh,
modern missionary congregation.
okay.
So SVD is not SVD without being a missionary.
Okay, that's a very powerful information, Father, that we Carolinians also have to know, and the rest of the tagasunod sa DYRF, for example, no, and mga SVD priests should know that you cannot be stuck in one place and just stay there for the rest of your life. Rather, you are open to mission and deployment should your superiors tell you so.
So, being a missionary, I think in French, it's the raison d'être, no? It's a
Okay.
raison d'être. Yeah, it's
That's your
your
reason.
reason for being. working
Nice, nice,
as a
nice.
missionary. Yeah. So,
Okay.
well, being a missionary does not necessarily mean that you have to go to a foreign mission.
Mm-hmm.
Mission, you can be a missionary where you are, no?
Yes.
Because
So, so, Father, what is therefore the meaning of mission and being a missionary for an SVD, so that we understand, Father, that when we refer to SVDs as a missionary congregation, this is how you do mission. What is mission for the SVDs, Father?
well, as far as I could enter
Based
your
on
eyes
experience, Father.
and my experience, I think one confer explained it to me in a military way language.
Yeah.
SVDs, we are just like Marines, no? We are like the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are places there that people don't go, that's where we go. So we are what we call the frontier. We are frontier missionaries.
Okay.
So we establish parishes. So
Mm-hmm.
for example, my first mission assignment was in Bitero in Benin.
Mm-hmm.
90, I think in that area, I think 99% of the people are practicing what they call uh, traditional African religion. No, or
Mm.
we don't call them pagans.
Yeah, yeah.
They
Mm-hmm.
are practicing traditional African religion. So when you go to a village, for example, one time oh, I went to a village. There were 100 people, and nobody came for communion because nobody was baptized. No,
Mm,
something like that.
okay.
Yeah. So we go where the church is not yet established,
Mm-hmm.
and once the church established, we gave way. So that's why there's this comparison with the Marines. When the battle is so intense, we send the Marines,
Mm-hmm.
and when there's peace, then you send the police afterwards
Mm-hmm.
to maintain the peace.
Yeah. But for
Something like
SBDs,
that.
we do everything.
So when the church is established, then the diocesan clergy can take over.
So you pass it on to them.
Yeah,
You
that's why
hand.
in Agusan, for example, we have already turned over to the diocese a good number of
Mm-mm.
parishes started by the SVDs.
And for the SVDs, Father, that's the outcome that you want. If I have to use the framework of the academe,
Yeah,
that the
yeah, yeah.
outcome of mission is
That's
really to
the
hand it
that's the
over.
outcome. Yes, more
Mm-hmm.
if you have to use that framework of
Yes, Father. Okay, that is
outcome
it.
based
Yeah, the outcomes based mission. No? That
mission.
the fulfillment of your mission in a station is when you successfully hand it over to the diocese or the local parish.
And then when the people are
Ready.
what you call this already responsible for the running of, or the people take ownership of the running of the church, because it is their church. It's not
Mm-hmm.
the SVD's church.
Okay, okay,
It is their church. It is their community.
okay. That's very nice, Father. We really hope. I really personally hope that the students, for example, will hear these stories from you, so that we get to make them feel contextualized presence of the SVDs. For example, if SVDs are in schools, there are teachers, for example, like your father. You're recruited to teach. No, so there is that mission inspiration that in the end you will be able to really make the students acquire the skills necessary for them, and so on. So it's
Yeah.
it's ingrained in your DNA as SVDs. That's your
Yes.
mission. Okay,
Yes.
thank you,
Exactly.
Father. um Father, can you share to us your story of mission in Africa? I've heard that several times over, but I still get amused and inspired and in awe about what you went through, and how you grew as a missionary while you were in Africa.
Well, in Africa, well, I think the first thing we were told, the first thing we were told is during the first 3 years, there are three things that you have to do:
Mhm.
listen, listen, and listen.
Okay, that's easy to remember.
Yeah, that's a, so the first thing to do is you listen to the people,
Mhm,
and then you listen to the culture,
mhm,
and then you listen what God is telling you to do in that particular context.
mhm.
Because sometimes we are so maybe energized, over motivated that you want to change
Yes.
things. Maybe,
You're very
but
eager until.
now you are full of energy, and then we have so many things, and then we want to change the people's lifestyle. No, so in Africa, 25 years working there.
95 years. Mhm.
I don't remember having told anybody to convert to Christianity.
Mm,
I was there to as a witness, as we always say, as a witness to the word. And I remember one day, some youth, because some Muslim youth came to say, Father, we would like to become Catholics.
mm,
And said, why would you like to become Catholics? Just become good Muslims, no? So what is so important with Catholicism or
yes,
Christianity?
yes.
And then one guy was said, we are inspired by your life. No? You
Wow.
live a different life.
Mhm, mhm,
So our actions spoke at the time louder
mhm,
than words. So our witnessing to the word has attracted many
mhm,
people
mhm,
convert to Christianity. I'll give you an example of a particular case. For example, when you are a missionary, you are a jack of all trades. No? So, for example, one of the things that you need to have in a mission was when during my time was this they called Blackstone, no? Pierre
mhm,
Noir called Blackstone. So when somebody is bitten by a snake or a
mhm,
scorpion, you can put that Blackstone, and then the person will be healed if it is not yet too late. So
mhm,
one evening, somebody came, a young man, and said, "Father, I'm bitten by a snake.
mhm,
Do we have a black stone in the house?" I said, "Yes." I was alone. We were three in that parish, but I was alone during the time. So, and it was my first time to experience
mhm,
such kind of what do you call this incident.
mhm,
And then I was well, we had some orientation about it. So I just cut a little where the guy was bitten, and then I put the black stone,
mhm,
and then the black stone just because there was still poison, the black stone just stuck there, no. And
mm.
then during the night, I was saying, "Will this guy die or will this guy live?" So I was not able to sleep. And
What happened, Father?
the next day, I found the guy was very much alive, and then the black
Oh,
stone fell down. So he was
okay,
he was healed. And you
okay.
know what? The whole family got converted to Catholicism because of that. No?
It, but it's definitely not because of the just of the black Pearl Father or
Ah, because of the goodness of because of the goodness, that hospitality goodness that we have shown the family, of course.
yeah, no,
I had
the
little gifts that
yeah.
time, chickens, eggs, and all kinds of root cups.
So the marriage father of culture and faith was very pronounced in your experience. You can never dictate communities how to live their lives. In fact, you have to learn
No, no,
from
no.
them.
It's very yeah. It's very. mean, the faith and culture, they are really ingrained.
Mhm.
You cannot separate them. Yeah, it's very hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a very colorful experience. Father,
Yes.
had there been other experiences that you have had as a missionary in Africa that still maybe a shocking experience or a very memorable experience that you think made you a better missionary?
Well, my experiences in the refugee camps in
Mm-hmm.
Tanzania, in Burundi, Rwanda, and Congo. I During that time, I had that feeling that I was not I was not afraid to die. You know, because going from the house, going to the field to the refugee camps,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the Congo, it was as if it was part of your daily life, daily routine. That when you go there, you would expect that you will be ambushed, you would be hit by a bullet. In fact, one of our cars uh, was carjacked, and
Oh.
then
Mm-hmm.
some of our yeah, one of our cars was a carjacked, and then there was also a time in we were I was not in that car, but we were that my staff was that car was hit by a bullet because there was a confrontation between two rebel groups. So I have experience also lying on the road for how many hours
Just to
because
be.
there was a encounter between the military and the rebel groups in Burundi, for example. So when I just feel that time that I was said, oh, if this is for the Lord, it's worth it's
Mhm.
worth risking or giving your life for the people. No?
Yeah, Father, but is this for the last 25 years that you were there, or these were more very picky and very particular dates or
I think
years?
that was during my uh, I would say perhaps last 10 years in Africa when I was working in the refugee camps.
And this was what years, Father? The last 10 years.
That would be bit 2000, 2012 to 2016.
Okay. So that was the last assignment you've had outside of the country as a missionary, Father, and then you came back.
So the last country was in Congo because from 2001 I was working in an international NGO called the Jesuit Refugee Service. No, so I was not living I was not living in a SVD community. I was living with Jesuits. I
Okay.
was living with lay people, and sometimes I was living alone, especially in the
Mhm.
Congo. So when you are assigned in an area and you're alone, and then you know that there are rebel groups that could attack
Mhm. Mhm.
anytime.
Mhm.
Uh, but uh, the my feeling was I was really very happy in spite
Mhm.
of the difficult life, the threats, and the risk that you are doing. So since I am still alive, so God has not yet done with me.
But Father
Well,
was the yeah,
many priests were killed there already.
including SBDs, Father.
No, not SVDs, but there is some
Or
clergies and
okay.
other congregations. So, there were there were many occasions that I could have been also a victim, but I
Mhm.
think God didn't allow it to happen.
It's not yet done with you, as you said. But Father, the last assignment, was it your choice? Was it the choice of the congregation?
Well, in the year 2000, I got an email from Father General. At that time, it was Father Barlagi.
Mm-hmm.
So he wrote a letter to a dozen of converts who were working in Africa
Mm-hmm.
if he would be willing to work in the refugee camps.
Mm-hmm.
That was the time in the height of the ethnic conflict
Okay. Okay.
in Africa. So there were many refugees, and I was the only one who
You're the only one brave enough to
replied
say,
to Father General's uh, appeal. So
okay.
he, when Father Pernia became general, so I contacted him. How is it? We're still going to work with in the refugee camps with the Jesuits. So that's the time when I was in contact with the international office of the Jesuit Refugee Service in Rome. So
Mm,
I was assigned. My first assignment was in Tanzania, in the refugee camps in Tanzania, where there were Burundian, Rwandan, Congolese refugees. So it was that area of Tanzania before it was there were about 800,000 refugees in
mm,
5 camps. So it was a
okay.
big camp.
Okay. And you stayed there, Father, for 4 years.
In Tanzania, I stayed in Tanzania for 7 years, working
7
in
years.
camps,
Mm-hmm.
and then 4 years in Burundi,
Mm-hmm.
and then 3 years in the Congo.
So that's seven, four,
That's
14
14,
years.
14
14
years
years.
working in the refugee camps.
Okay. If there is anything, Father, because refugee camps are not common to Filipinos, if there is anything that you would like to allow us to picture out of a refugee camp, how would you describe it for us? How would you describe a refugee camp for us?
Well, a refugee camp would be like a tent city.
Okay.
So one camp would, for example, in Tanzania, one camp would have about 50,000 people.
50,000 people. Mm.
50,000 people, so maybe about 10,000 families.
Okay,
So
okay.
you will see about 10,000 houses made of how do you call that?
Different tents.
Tarpaulin, no?
Oh, okay.
Only with UNHR, big UNHR
Mm,
logo. Uh,
mm,
you have that because they cannot have fixed
mm-hmm.
structures because
Okay.
refugees they have to move out after some time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
So well,
basically, yeah.
it's like a town, no? But
Mm-hmm.
it's so difficult. People have no work. They're idle. They are dependent on United Nations for food, for clothing, for everything.
Okay. Yeah. How many priests or how many missionaries were there, Father, together with you, coming from other congregations?
Well, in Tanzania, I that time I think we were about six.
Mm-hmm.
And there were
Six.
also some religious sisters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there were Jesuits who were there also, but many,
Okay.
not all were working the camps. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
because in Tanzania we had also JRS, or Jesuit Refugee Service,
Mm-hmm.
has also a radio station. So some of them were working in the radio. So
Mm-hmm.
scholastics, Jesuit scholastics, brothers and priests,
Mm-hmm.
they were also there. Because Jesuit Refugee Service is the international NGO of the Jesuits, so they should be there.
Okay. Okay. So, Father, from that 14 years of experience in a refugee camp, you came back to the Philippines.
Yes. Yeah.
How was it, Father? Was it end of your mission in Africa, or was it just part of the recall of of your congregation to come back
Well,
home?
I could have continued, no,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel after 14 years, I was feeling tired. Also, psychologically, I was drained
Mm-hmm.
psychologically
Mm-hmm.
because to work in the refugee camp it's not easy. It's very difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
When people come to you and you cannot even give them 1 kilo of rice.
Mm-hmm.
That's every day in day out. That's every day. That's what they come. So it's very hard, and it will drain you not physically but psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
So and then of course they wanted me to continue, but I said it was enough because I feel that it was no longer good for me. And also
Mm-hmm.
the second thing was since my parents are also growing old. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I requested to be here in the Philippines to
Mm-hmm.
be close to them. At this, they are
Okay.
in Luzon. I'm here in Cebu. It's not far.
You can just swim.
Yeah, yeah.
So this idea, Father, of fatigue, it also happens to missionaries. So,
Oh yeah, of course, of
mm-hmm.
course. It will, but many missionaries would not perhaps accept that. But you will see it when people when they become angry when there's no reason to be angry.
When they become cranky
You know
and
that that person is
okay, okay,
psychologically tired. There's
okay.
psychological fatigue.
So that's a warning to everybody who will watch this video. If you find someone who is a missionary but is cranky on things you don't see a point to be cranky
You know,
about, you have no
you know
respect.
when I was working in the refugee camps, we have this what called R&R, or rest and recreation, every 2 months. So there
Mm-hmm.
was one Jesuit. He said, "Oh no, I don't need R&R. I'm okay." He said, "I'm not tired." So the human resource person said, "Well, you are not tired, but the people are tired of you." So
Exactly.
you you go for your rest and recreation 1 week.
Okay. So that they will miss you.
Yeah.
Yes, I think the feeling is mutual, Father, for the community as well. If we're exposed to the same people over and over again, and we're releasing the same energy, and we're not growing in the process, perhaps the fatigue will really sink in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. Because you know there's always that negative energy, and then you get the negative energy from the people also. So when
Yes.
you need rest and recreation, which I believe some SVDs also are not doing, which is not good.
Okay,
Personally.
so that's a reminder to the SVDs, no? So I think take time off from your usual routine,
Yeah.
and never forget that mission is also part of that mission is also resting. Sabbath is indeed part of that. Father, so let's talk about the time that you are already back in the Philippines. What was your first? Did you have an assignment immediately upon arrival, or you had a vacation first before the next assignment was given?
Well, when I arrived in November, well, I came back to the Philippines in November 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So I had at least few months of vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was requested to work with JPIC-IDC.
Mm-hmm.
I joined JPIC-IDC in January 2017.
Okay, so that's just
The time
barely
to
2 months.
Father Tony Salas was the executive director, so I was the associate executive director. And then I became executive director of GPIC-IDC in August 2017
Okay.
until now.
Okay. So Father, people will ask, so because these are two different experiences. Refugee mission in Africa for the longest time is 14 years. Now you're working in a non-government organization of the SVD, that's JPIC-IDC. How was your experience with your new mission, Father?
Well, GPIC-IDC compared to GRS, GRS is a humanitarian
Yes.
emergency NGO. It's for emergency response. So it's not really the same. But GPIC-IDC is more of a development
Mm-hmm.
NGO. No?
Mm-hmm.
But I believe the objective is the same.
Okay.
GPIC or with GRS, the refugee camps, our objective is to give people their sense of dignity. No? We always
Mm-hmm.
say in the refugee camps that people could go back home in peace and in dignity. No?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
here with GPIC-IDC, we have that vision, fullness of life in a transformed society. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I think basically that's we want them to experience
Mm-hmm.
well-being. That
Yes.
people would be able to live in peace and in dignity.
Mm-hmm.
And it just coincide with the course that I'm teaching, peace and security. What is peace? What is
Yeah.
security? You know,
Okay.
uh,
So
peace is not
essentially, Father, they're
just
the
in the world.
same.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you're saying, Father, essentially your experience as a missionary in Africa and in JPIC-IDC, they're basically the same. The essence is the same. It's to provide dignity to individuals, to communities, to lives.
Yeah, I think all that we do as a missionary, it's that's end the end goal, no? That our mission should contribute to alleviate the suffering of the people, so that they will be able to live in dignity.
Okay.
So, for example, providing educational support to poor children, or providing low cost housing for
Mhm.
uh, the homeless people, scavengers. That's part of the process of giving them their human dignity.
Mhm. And that's part of the mission of the SVD.
That's part of the mission of the SVT. So I think someday I will write a short, maybe article that the low cost housing project of the SVT is a peace project,
Wow,
something like
that's interesting, Father. You include that in your class.
that. Yeah, yeah, as a peace project. Yes.
Yeah, and now you're not only in JPIC-IDC, but you're now joining the Academe, Father. That's another mission frontier for you. You think?
Yeah, that's quite interesting, but I'm anxious because
Everybody is, Father.
I have never taught in a university. I was just teaching catechism.
Yeah, but we find value in terms of your experience, Father, and how your 25 years as a missionary can help speak about peace and security from the eyes of someone who really saw the effects of having no peace and
Yeah.
having lives being not secured. So that's
So
the
it's not
that's
just about theory, but it's also,
yes,
yeah,
it's the experience, Father, that we can never
experience.
get from a simple diploma or a simple degree. So that's
Yeah.
what you're bringing to your classroom. So so you now have two mission frontiers now in Cebu. You have JPIC-IDC, now USC as an incoming teacher, Father. And you said earlier that after 14 years in the refugee camp, you got tired, and taking breaks and going back to silence in a very
Yeah, yeah.
noisy world is very important. People may be interested to know, Father, how do you keep your sanity? Do you have hobbies? Do you have
How to keep my sanity?
recreation? How do you have recreation? How do you keep yourself still grounded despite the noise that is still available around you?
Well, I usually after work, I as part of my routine, I usually walk around at least 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just that's for physical exercise. So I go to Ramos, then to Puentes Minya, coming
Okay.
back here. And then in the evening, usually, I just watch movies.
Okay. Like
Yeah,
everybody else.
yeah, just like yes. And then once in a while, I read novels because well, novels because that's not so heavy to read. No?
Uh, okay. So these are very simple tips on how you can unclog yourself after a very full day. And I think that's the kind of breaks that you would like in between, Father, no? Like a very busy
Yeah, yeah,
day,
yeah. It's
you
good to
wanna
have that.
stress and so on.
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Okay.
It's good to have hobbies and that you can that's part of what you call the rest and recreation to keep
Okay.
yourself healthy. Otherwise,
Yeah. So, Father, if we have to compute since 1988 or 1987, since you were ordained, you are a priest already for 30, 30,
33,
33 years. No?
33. Yes, yes, that's
I'm not really good in math. So, 33 years. Well, one of the reasons why the SVDs are celebrating and celebrating your anniversary at the same time using the platform of media to share your missionary stories is to encourage young people, especially or even late vocation, to find value in what you do at the same time. Maybe join you in the congregation. If if there is any special message you would like to give to young people, Father, who are still unaware of where they want to go or what they want to do with life, what can you tell them, Father, and how would you like to address them?
well. I think we are surrounded with so much noise. I believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I would like to maybe to tell our young people, young girls, young boys who are listening because the girls could become also religious
Mm-hmm.
sisters, and
Mm-hmm.
then the boys could become a religious brother or a religious priest. So maybe to have some time of quiet, no? To have that desert.
Mm-hmm.
Desert is always is always connected to what we call hardship, and what that desert also is connected to silence.
Mm-hmm.
And there maybe when you have that silence, stillness in your heart, then maybe uh, you can hear God speaking to you, calling you to be
Mm-hmm.
one of His disciples or apostles in
Mm-hmm.
our world today.
So that's a
Yeah.
necessary. That's a prerequisite, Father. Silence and hearing out. Maybe the message for you. Uh, as you said, God has different, unique ways of calling us.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
God, yeah, God is calling. Maybe God is calling them, but maybe because there's so much noise, they
they are
could
able to hear.
they are no longer capable of hearing the voice
Yeah.
of God.
Okay. That's a very simple reminder, Father, of how we can go back to certain basics in life, especially for the young people. Now, Father, if there is a treasure, if there is any black stone that you have as an SBD missionary, Father, that you think you feel very proud of your congregation or very happy about your congregation. What is that black stone, Father, for you of being an SBD?
From my experience, I I believe it's the internationality of the SVD in a community.
Mhm.
I think some congregations, it's very hard for them to mix nationalities.
Oh.
But we SVDs, we always try that we could mix because, for example, in Benin, when I was in Benin, I was with an Irishman,
Mhm.
I was with the Indian,
Mhm.
Portuguese, Polish,
Mhm.
And then yeah, so and then we well, of course, there is always there. It's understood that we don't agree all
Mm-hmm.
the time, but we agree to disagree.
Okay.
But that experience of community life, different people living in a community, one community, and when people see that, it sends a very strong message,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially in Africa where ethnic conflict is very common.
Yes.
So, in fact, in my experience in Benin, for example, people were telling us, "Yeah, you belong to different nationalities, but you can live. We see," they said, "we see that you're living uh, peacefully, happily, and that inspire us
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to live also in peace with different ethnic groups." So, our life there was also a witness, even just by living in a community with different nationalities.
Yeah, I like the phrase, Father, when you said internationality of communities
Yeah.
or in a community. Meaning to say we cannot be overwhelmed and we cannot say it's too much to have foreigner SBDs coming into the university and sharing into the life of the university, because at the same time we're also sharing your mission and you are sharing your mission with us. That's very
Yes.
nice, Father. Thank you very much. And maybe last, Father, how valuable you have had a very uh, long years of experience of being a missionary abroad and in the Philippines, even closer to home. How important mission is today?
Well, I believe mission is always relevant and very important, because mission is not, as I think mentioned earlier, mission is not going out of the country. Mission is witnessing to the word. No? So a missionary today here in Cebu could be a true missionary by witnessing to the word, in doing something good for the people on the margins of society.
Mhm,
And whether you are as a teacher, engineer, doctor, nurses, whatever, or a businessman, you can always be a missionary wherever you are and whatever you do. So, for example, as a Catholic, as a Christian, if I witness to the word by witnessing to the values of the gospel of honesty, love, forgiveness, I am already doing mission. So
okay.
mission is very much relevant in our world today.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Father. It's really changing perspective that even us, ordinary lay people, we share your mission and we are missionaries ourselves. And we can always be missionaries in our own communities, in our own families, and even in our own workplace.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Thank you very much. Father, would you like to greet everyone in French? If there is a message you would like to send to everyone, but you want to say it in a very comfortable language of French because you spoke it for 25 years, go ahead, Father. I'll give you time.
Okay. So I just want to say this. So salutation tout le monde. It's greetings to all, and uh, que Dieu vous bénisse and may God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Father, for giving your God bless to everybody. It has been a very wonderful afternoon doing this conversation with you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
And we look forward to more of these conversations about the mission experiences of our very own SVD missionaries. So, once again, good afternoon. Thank you very much, Father. Into the life of an SVD missionary, presenting to you Father Romeo Cagatin, SVD. Thank you so much, Father, and God bless. And for
Bless.
everybody watching us, thank you so much for your time, and hope you listen to other missionary stories of other SVDs that will be provided to you in the 145th founding anniversary celebration of the Society of the Divine Word. And this is Bernetta Brenica from the University of San Carlos. Very proud Carolinian and very proud to be a co-missionary of the Society of the Divine Word. Thank you very much, Father. God bless
Thank
everyone.
you.
Father.
Thank you.